Alrighty then. I do believe we are live. So I'll say, indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. I thank you for joining me again on today's Conscious Evolution. We're going to talk about shame today. I'm inspired by good old Nietzsche. And he has this theory that, and I said it yesterday as well, and I did mention that we're going to talk about that today. But he has this theory that a truly bad person is a person who shames another, and a truly good person is the one who spares another from that shame, right? And I feel in today's society, we find ourselves very ashamed of ourselves, right? There's this cultural norm of how we're supposed to look like, who we're supposed to be, how hard we're supposed to be working, how much money we're supposed to be earning, what the size of our appendages is supposed to be, etc., into oblivion, right? And I feel it really is this experience of not being allowed to be who you are, right? That you are already something, someone, and the way that I kind of think of this is to try and compare it to my animals, right? If you look at every single one of your pets, we have 3 cats and 3 dogs. Yuri, Eva, and Pippi is our dogs. Roxy, Ginger, and Shelby are our kitties. And Shelby has this thing that she does where every time she wants to ask for attention, she sprawls herself out against like a whatever, like literally a tree, a closet door, your leg even. She'll just like stretch herself out, and that's her thing. Uh, Roxy has this thing where she like pushes herself up against a wall, and then she rolls her head, when she asks for attention. Ginger will just scream at you. Good old Yudi, he has this demeanor, of like calm, of just like everything's okay. I have nowhere to be. This is who I am. Pippi is terrified of the world, Like if she starts barking at something or she sees something that's, suspicious, she'll hide behind you while barking at the thing, right? Like you have to be in the way so that she can stay safe. And then Eva, for example, just has this demeanor of being in her own little world. Like she's so happy and so content, not even, being seen sometimes. Like she does like being seen, she does like getting attention. But after you give her attention, she'll leave. She'll be like, oh, thank you for the attention. And she'll be like, sayonara. And she'll go and do her own thing again, right? And that's just what I get to see with my own pets, right? Where, sure, 3 cats, they're the same species, and yet every single one of them have their own state of being, the way they show up in the world. Same thing for our dogs, and I believe it's the same thing for us. But what ends up happening is that version of you, right? That version of you that sprawls out or pushes yourself against a closet door and, wiggles your head. Of course, I'm making an analogy right now, is told that's wrong, right? You are shamed for that person that you are, that you intrinsically are, that you've been the whole time. And then we end up putting masks on. We end up hiding who we actually are for the sake of approval from our parents, for the sake of approval from our bosses or our teachers, from the sake of approval of friends, And I feel it really is a shame. I'm imagining just how much authenticity, how much genuine human ingenuity is lost due to people being so scared, afraid to be themselves. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Or at least that's what I want to put inside our minds so we can consciously evolve thinking about who we're supposed to be. Or not even who we're supposed to be, who we are, right? In comparison to who we think we are supposed to be. I see friends here already. Shan, blessings to you. Joy V, Dr. Jaziel. Blessings. Sam is also here. Eternal blessings to all of you friends. It's so nice having you. I'm ashamed of my big toe. My appendage is the wrong size. You see, I told you freaking appendages. Getting shamed for having an appendage. I melt your shame, yeah. Suddenly, metal music starts playing in the background. That scarf really makes your eyes pop melt. My eyes are black like the underworld, dude. Thank you. Thank you. One of the things that I have been insecure about as well, right? Again, this version of me, ashamed that I have brown eyes. And there's like this, I don't know if you should call it a procedure, but they basically laser the melanin away. And every single person who has brown eyes actually has blue eyes as well. I don't know if your friends knew this. So if you have brown eyes, you can go and get this procedure. And they literally laser the pigment away. And underneath it is revealed blue eyes. Right. So when I was a teenager, I was like really into that. I think it's something like $5,000, which is an exorbitant amount of money. But $5,000 and I get to have blue eyes. So I was like, yeah, one day I'm gonna color my eyes blue, and maybe I still will. Right? Maybe my eyes have been blue the whole time, and I just have been hiding it because of masking or whatever. Maybe not. The point is still, it's interesting to see how we change. It's interesting to see what we are ashamed of and how other people might not even be able to notice it. You might have had someone say something to you, and that hurt, carries deeper than we kind of give it credit for. I see Loizana joining us too. So many blessings to all of you friends. So that big, super dangerous heat bubble that is hitting the lower Midwest decided to come north as of last night. Was supposed to be 70s all week. Now it's close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That's like high 30 something degrees Celsius. Uncomfortable. Yeah, we got the heat. It's hot as fuck here, yo. I mean, it's interesting how things change, right? Like it's kind of warm here as well. The seasons are definitely changing. And I feel your friends are probably going to miss the heat again, when the winter comes around. I dislike the heat. Sorry to hear it, guys. Me too. I prefer the cold for the most part. Just for the sake that you can put on more layers. It's not exactly appropriate to take more layers off. Lest you be shamed. All right, yeah, boom. Stream topic comes back around. Doesn't have to be a color of your eyes to make them pop. Blue is bright, like the light in your eyes. Flattering me. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the lovin's. There she is. You ready? Snag that sub. Are you gonna do it again? Like weirdly enough, I'm tripping out right now, Jovan. I was like going and checking on my profile because apparently, if there's at least 8 people that are members, it's supposed to show your little bubbles on the profile, and I couldn't see that. I tried with like my accounts as well. Blessings. Jovan, thank you. Thank you, friends, for being willing to bless me in the way that you do. I feel if Shan joins now as a member, it's pretty much gonna be everyone that's in chat, you know. Thank you. Just blessings to you, dear friend. It's always a blessing. I don't know if your friends are still there with you, but sending you blessings as well. I don't know if they got to see the intro to today's stream, but it's a blessing being able to share these moments with you. I wanted dark brown or black eyes when I was a kid. When I went to the optometrist and got those drops, they made my pupils giant. That's the only time I ever felt pretty. That is very interesting. Right? I don't mind my eyes. I feel in a weird way my eyes are a concealing. I think that's the word I'd use. Is that a Kristen joining us too? Blessings, dear Kristen. When I tap on them, the window pops and the option to block or go to the channel. So there is the button, there is the gifted 5 melt more memberships, and then directly underneath it, there's a little gift that says you could be a lucky recipient, and then you have to click the allow gifts button. It might be, some sort of iOS thing. I don't know. I'm sorry if it's having some trouble again. I did a recorded yoga session. So much love, and we missed you, Kristen. I saw your message afterwards. Thank you for being willing to, show up for the practice, even if you can't be there live. Love, shame be damned. Yeah. Shame for what? Shame for who, right? What is there to be ashamed of? There is nothing alien, nothing human will ever be alien to me. I don't know who said that. Hey, Google, who said nothing human will ever be alien to me? I don't understand. Liar. I hit the search button. Terence. Terence McKenna? Is that? No, not Terence McKenna. His name is just Terence? No surname? Well, Terence went homo sum humani nihil ami alienam puto. Or I am a man. I consider nothing that is human alien to me. Yeah. Right? Including the things that we shame ourselves for. Right? Anything that you feel ashamed of is a part of your human nature. Right? So why? Why be ashamed of your own internal intrinsic being? If not because people tell you to. Weirdly enough, while I was setting up a stream today, I was thinking back to like my childhood as well, where I went through this experience of struggling, initially at least, with text. I'm dyslexic, so I swap my B's and D's, and I have a hard time with numbers sometimes as well. And my mom, unfortunately, didn't understand that when I was a child, right? So I would have these, Cheyenne, dude, where are you from? I am from Earth, at least this time around. On Earth, I live in South Africa. It's nice to have you here with me. Blessings to you, friend. And I went through this process of my mom trying to help me. Cheyenne, there is gift memberships up top if you want to become a member, dude. Jovan blessed us all with a little bit more of her abundance. And as a child, I couldn't understand what was wrong with me. I couldn't understand why my mom was so critical of me getting these things right. So I would get these reading exercises from school, and I would sit down and I would read them, right? And I would make mistakes. And my mom at that point, was struggling a little bit with keeping her cool. So she would get viscerally angry with me making mistakes. So I literally memorized the piece of text that I was reading. And instead of actually reading the words, I was just reciting in my mind what there is supposed to be written, you know? And then she realized that as well, and she was not happy about that. So during that process, she also had this thing about me not lifting my hand, right? Like every single time I was writing, I would write, lift my hand, put it down, right, lift my hand, put it down, right. And she was like, nope, not allowed to do that either. And let me show you this. I hope you can see it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Man, it's not that clear. But essentially, now, because of my mom's incessant "don't lift your hand," when I like do my journal entry on this tablet, you can literally see where my hand gets like scraped over the screen instead of lifting my hand. And I was like looking at that while I was sitting down for stream, and I was like, yeah, my literal world is now different. It's literally changed because of my mom's want for me to be a certain way, right? Feeling ashamed that I couldn't read or couldn't read as well as I was supposed to. Feeling ashamed that I didn't write the right way. Feeling ashamed of the way my text looks. Like let me show you what it looks like if you're interested, right? For the longest time, I could not appreciate the way my script looks because I would compare myself, you know, I would compare myself to other people's. I was like, oh yeah, this girl has this way of writing, and mine is now to be ashamed of because it doesn't look in that way. And I feel like it's like we always do, we come into this space to try and get past these things, try and melt our shame, because why would I be ashamed of that? Why am I still, in part, ashamed of that? And how do I teach myself to be proud of myself just for simply being? Is it even possible? You're from India? Cheyenne, it's nice to have you here, friend. How did you find us? Were you one of the Arpan friends, or did you find us through YouTube? It's a blessing having you here, either way. Sending you so much love and man. I approve of my message. Did I think I missed it? Toxic shame was my best friend, but I am liberated from that relationship. Love is true. So many blessings to you. I'm so happy to hear that as well, my dear friend. Unfortunately, it does become a relationship, right? Nancy joining us too. Blessings to you. Of course, Shell. Lovings to you. It becomes a relationship, and it's a bad one, as you mentioned as well, because you're shaming yourself for the very person that you are, And if you become used to that relationship, you'll find things to be ashamed of, no matter what you do, right? No matter how hard you work, no matter how perfect, in at least your mind, you get. If you keep comparing yourself to this ideal, that other people have told you you're supposed to be, you're always going to fall short. And I feel like I'm reminding myself of that as well, because I do that to myself. I have that relationship within myself to to shame myself. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday as well. This understanding that there is something as healthy shame. You can have a toxic relationship of shame where no matter what you do, you are wrong. You doing what you want to do is wrong because it's not what society wants you to do. And then there is the type of shame that is a understanding of who you want to be, right? Or an understanding of who you are, and then paying attention to your behavior and paying attention to whether or not that type of behavior is who you want to be, right? One of the things that I've noticed is that who I am, right? Or at least who I've been this whole time has been so suppressed and so limited in what he's allowed to do that the reaction on a physical, on a shadow side level is deep anger. Anger with the world, anger with my parents, anger with myself that I can't be this thing, this person that the world or my parents want me to be. And that made me so angry for the longest time. And realizing and seeing how when now in my day-to-day life something happens or something is said to me or something is expected of me that isn't me, that anger instantly comes up. Where did I see this? I think in the movie Element there was this line that goes, sometimes rage or anger is you trying to tell yourself something that you're not ready to hear, right? And I feel for the longest time I couldn't understand why I was getting so angry. And being able to see how when I react in that angry way, when I say something mean or something, that hurts another person, and then I get to reflect on that experience afterwards, the way it makes me feel like that's not me, right? And I don't know if I'm ashamed necessarily, healthy ashamed of that version of me, but it gives me a frame of reference, right? It allows me to see who I'm actually trying to be. And it's an act of, comparing yourself, unfortunately, still. And then that being said, realize that you can take full responsibility for that comparison. You don't have to let the world be the one that sets the stakes for who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be reacting. It's hard, but it is possible. Cheyenne Meltmore reads every single message, so please be patient. I try to read every single message. I do not always succeed. I appreciate you, friends, being patient with me. You have to hit the green gift at the top of the stream, not the banner in the stream. Thank you, Joy Vive, for letting us know as well. It's okay, right? I feel like yesterday I noticed how there was a part of me that was feeling ashamed, maybe, right? That the gift that Jovan was gifting, wasn't claimed the way that it could have been. And paying attention to that experience. I feel this version of me is a little bit more okay with it. Right? I have grown. Keep growing. I thought the quote was nothing human ever disgusts me. I mean, that one works as well, same, but different. I approve of my message, bless. I did, and the same window comes up. I'm sorry, Shan. Maybe, there's something standing in the way. Chat with us too, please. It's so nice to meet new friends. Love is true. Can you tell us where you are, Cheyenne? So much lovin's. It's nice. I have a famous Indian poet who joins our streams on occasion. It's true, Joyviv. So, like, I feel like this is one of those things where, oh, you live in India, Cheyenne? Do you know Cable? It's like, bruh, There are like 1.3 billion Indian people, dude. You think I know? Meanwhile, Cheyenne is like, oh yeah, I do. I do know Kev. Maybe you'll just get to know him. Maybe he'll join us today if we're lucky. Nice to have another friend. Love is true. I just created another YouTube account and uploaded a music edit video. I was searching that video from this account and I just clicked on your stream. Bless. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for finding yourself in this space. We are open to everybody. We do this every day. You know, I consider what it is we do here as conscious evolution, right? Like for the longest time, we were expected to biologically evolve. You know, if our environment changed, we had to kind of adapt on a physical level to that environmental change. But now, in step, things are changing faster because of technology than our biology can keep up, right? So if our biology cannot evolve fast enough to keep up with the sheer amount of changes happening around us, it's going to be up to us to consciously evolve so that we can keep up. You know, it's like an informational exchange. It's an understanding of where we are in reality right now. And it's an exponential kind of thing, right? Like it is an everyday kind of thing. Yesterday is is gone, you know, and the limitations that came with yesterday is gone alongside it. We're becoming more powerful. It's nice to have you here. Another musician. We have lots of musical friends. We do, right? It's almost like artists, you know, resonate with one another. Cheyenne, we talk about life, we share our experiences. We're artists, gardeners, medicine women, caregivers, caretakers. Today is the 962nd day of Meltmore's live stream. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of days. We're almost close to 1,000 friends. I'm kind of intimidated by it, right? Because I want to make it special, but I don't know how to. I don't know how to make it exceptionally special. My mind is running a bunch of fractals now. It's like fireworks? Fireworks? No, no, please. I don't want to spend money on bombs. Essentially, that's really nice. Accountants do, of course, like the whole spectrum. You know, we got lawyers as well. Share your music with us, Cheyenne, please. We do have a Discord if you want to join there too. He streams every day at the same time. Some of us friends show up every day. Some of us show up when we can. And whenever you do, I'll celebrate your presence. No, I just put music on a movie if it fits well. Actually, the name of the video is Melting. Hence, I accidentally found this channel. Yeah, I feel like that's just the perfect way it's supposed to be. Thank you, YouTube algorithms, for seeing me. I am Melt. I appreciate you for sharing me with the rest of the world. Either fate or lovely coincidence. These things happen the way they're supposed to. You know, everything happens the way it's supposed to. And the one thing that I'm going to keep echoing through today's stream at least is to not be ashamed, right, of how these things happen. To not be ashamed of our current place in this whole experience. Like I really have to tell myself this, you know, and I'm trying to understand it as well. Because it's hard for me to not be ashamed of things. I want to create more clarity. Hey Google, define ashamed. Ashamed. No, that's dissent. I don't know how it got that. The holding or expression of opinions at variance with those commonly or officially held. Not what I asked. Hey Google, define ashamed. There we go. Ashamed, embarrassed, or guilty because of one's actions, characteristics, or associations. I feel like today's stream topic is specifically centered around the characteristics part of that definition. Because I feel very proud to be associated with all of you friends. I feel proud of my actions showing up in the way that we are. But the characteristics part, right? Like I feel like that's where a lot of us might get stuck. is that we might have good associations. We might spend time with people that we actually value. We might be doing things right, for the most part. And still, despite all of that, we make one mistake, right? We do one thing that is, not aligned with who we want to be, for example. And then we spiral. We spiral so far, guilt-ridden, contrite, remorseful, repentant, penitent, hangdog, regretful, rueful, apologetic. Don't apologize for who you are, is basically the gist of it. Let's read something worth saying. See if there is like an extra little bit of clarity. Of course, I am the one who chooses the effects I experience. Thinking about our friend who joined us now, Shayan, choosing this experience, right? I am the one who chooses the effects I experience. I alone interpret all neutral relationships or experiences. I alone place value upon objects, things, thoughts, and belief systems. I alone am the literal creator of my moment to moment experience. Right? So if you are the literal creator of your moment to moment experience, please, for the sake of all of us, for the sake of humanity, don't create the experience of shame, right? Celebrate yourself. For any perception is true as long as you choose to believe it, right? If you feel ashamed for just being yourself, for the way that you look, whether or not it's true to the rest of the world in the grand scheme of things, if that's what you believe, it might as well be. I had this conversation with my dad today, actually, where we were talking about believing, and he was like, yeah, uh, you're going to get judged when you die. And if you are found not, aligned with all of the rules, you will go to hell. And I'm like, I don't believe that, I say to him. And he's like, you don't get to choose what you believe, he says to me. I'm like, yeah, actually, Actually, yes, I do. Actually, yes, all of us get to choose what we believe. Any perception is true as long as you choose to believe it. What a trip. The things we're saying, kicking my ass a little bit as well. No, I can't get rid of one. It's special by its nature, Melt. The fact that it's 1,000 already is special and probably just needs to stand back and look at the big obelisk in the middle of your yard. Hey Google. Hey Google. What is an obelisk? That word is familiar, but it's not clear to me. An obelisk is a tall, four-sided, narrow, tapering monument that ends in a pyramid-like shape or a pyramidion at the top. That'd be an obelisk. Am I the obelisk? Maybe metaphorically is the closest that I can think of it. Now I want to build an obelisk. Thank you. Thank you, Shell. Suddenly my mind is like, obelisks? I can do obelisks. Babe, love is true. It's a funny way to find us. Join us. Love is true. So much love. You don't want to spend money on bombs because you want them free bombs. No, no. I mean, I can build bombs for cheaper than you can buy them for. It's just, even though I like fireworks as much as the next person, I have a hard time with the conception, right? Because, and I was like thinking about making a little bit of a short video, eventually doing this as well, about how things cost money, right? And how we, for instance, maybe you wear an extremely expensive perfume, right? And every single squirt you do is like $1. And I was imagining like animating you kind of like hitting the squirt button, and then instead of it being a spray, $1 comes and like sticks onto your body, and then you put on your expensive little face wash, and instead of it being the face wash, you just put like $1 note on your face, and then you take your cream and you put like another $1 note on your face, and I was like going through that whole fractal of us just like putting value numbers into our bodies, like if you're drinking something, for example, as well, putting these little rolled up, notes inside of your body. And then a firework in that same little fractal is like me lighting money on fire and then watching the money go, "Bah!" And then the money, confetti falls onto the ground, and I'm like, exciting. Let's not do that again. I feel like, the future of fireworks is probably going to be more drone based. You can do even cooler things, right? Because what fireworks does for us is that sense of awe, right? And maybe there's something lost without the explosions, but I think there's something gained for all of our little animals to not be terrified of it sounding like war outside. But yeah, we can do cooler things with drones. It's kind of like a walking tour. Walking tour. Weirdly enough, I was actually thinking about doing the last 10 days of the 1,000 completely silent. Instead of talking, I'll just walk around the yard, you know, walk up to the bark, be like, bark. Walk up to grass, grass. Walk up to a brick, wow, brick. But without saying it, right? Being deadly silent. But I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can do that for 10 days, right? I would lose my mind first. When I first rejoined you all this year, after months of being away, I was still in a place where I identified myself as being inherently full of shame. And it was always a matter of time before people realize that they don't like me. Now, before you start reassuring me, that call was coming from inside the house. It wasn't coming from outside. We love you. All of us starts reassuring anyway. We love you, Shell. I understand, right? I do understand that. I have that worry in myself as well. I feel like I've been shamed a lot for what I believe and for who I am and for the way that I show up in this world. And it does paint a picture. And you mentioned, right? Like it starts from childhood. It starts from the people that we love the most that tell us that we are not the way we're supposed to be, right? And as a child, you listen. And the way that I kind of like accentuate this fractal when I talk about it with people is the one of a hot stove top, right? Where if your mom is cooking and she puts on the stove top and it's getting red hot, and you as a little kid stand next to the stove top and she's like, don't touch this stove top, it'll hurt you. And you go like it's gonna hurt me, and you touch it and it like seizes your fingers. Seizes, is that the right word? Sizzles your fingers. You instantly connect that fractal with, oh, what my mom says is true empirically, right? If I don't listen to what she says to me, then I could get hurt. And then they misuse that power, sometimes unknowingly, to tell us that if you so and so, you're gonna go to hell, right? Not only are you gonna burn your fingers, but you are going to burn as a being for eternity, right? And then how do we not believe that, right? As a child, how do we not believe that? Unfortunately, we get to kind of broaden our horizons. And again, that's why I value the internet as much as I do, is because it gives you a perspective. It gives you the whole of perspective. Sure, it's still going to be your perspective and the way that you show up for the information that you want to learn, because you can use the internet to convince you even deeper, reassure your biases of the things that you've already believed. And this is something that I try to be very vigilant on. I watch content on both sides of the spectrum, right? Like I have watched an uncomfortable amount of, let's just call it theological content, Pepe being all majestic in the background. And I do so from a perspective of trying to understand why people believe that, right? Why do people want to believe in something, instead of believing in themselves, and then seeing how in that system, believing in yourself is a sin, is something wrong that's going to get you burned in hell, right? And then it gets reinforced. It's reinforced by your family. It's reinforced by that community if you're a part of it. It's reinforced by your society, if especially that is the way that things are supposed to be. If you get told that over and over again, at some point that level of shame becomes intrinsic, right? Where now the world no longer has to tell you to be ashamed. You have been so conditioned that that's just how it is. That's just how it is. You do it for yourself. You shame yourself, just for the simple fact of being. It really is a shame. Anyway, a friend and I are going today, and I like supporting local artists. Kind of walking tour. Sure, music will be part of it. Love to you, Nancy. I hope you have fun, dear friend. Thank you for spending some time with your friends too. Those kind of things are a good time. They really are. That sounds cool, Nancy. Where's it at? Uh, enter in out of sight and Shelchester in search bar. It's in the height. Height? Is that how you say it? Height? Because height is technically with an E, right? But I don't know how to read it anywhere else in the city. Will be fun. Bless to you. I hope you do have a good time. Yes, metaphorically speaking, melt. Exactly. Bless. Thank you. The obelisk. It's a cool word. That's why I like it. I would like being able to, make an obelisk and people come here and go like, what's that? And I'm like, that is the obelisk. Oh, an obelisk? I would want to make it out of granite though, right? I would want it to stay like for at least 100 years. I don't think concrete is going to be that sustainable or stable. Like my mind is actually thinking about how to build obelisks now. Please stop. Oh, please, we're doing something else right now. No building obelisks. Okay. Okay. Now I'm an empty shame evangelist. Evangelist. Thank you. Thank you, Brain. Right? We're just talking about being dyslexic. Evangelist, anti-shame evangelist. I'm here for everyone who wants to talk about their own inner shame feelings, and here to be your cheerleader and help to disabuse you of that lie. Thank you, Shell, for being willing to play that role in the world, for loving all of us. A good time to feel shame is the moment you break a glass, the moment you apologize or make up for it. Shame be gone. Yeah. Because I feel, again, the same way anger isn't something we're supposed to be getting rid of. Shame might also not be something we can really just melt completely, right? But again, the melting of something allows you the resource that it used to be, right? It turns it into something malleable, something that you can cast into something new. And as you beautifully said, right, using our shame to apologize and to make up for it, right? Instead of that shame feeling being this intrinsic closing off to the world, like, oh, I'm ashamed of myself, so I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of friendship, I'm not worthy of, etc., etc. And then closing yourself off to that possibility, opening yourself up, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, right? Despite this feeling of shame, because some people might feel ashamed, and because of that feeling of shame, be unwilling to apologize, because that in their mind might reaffirm their feeling of shame to the other person, right? And some people might take advantage of that, unfortunately, right? That's why we have to be vigilant. That's why we've been trained to be vigilant, right? Where you might be able to admit that you've been wrong, but admittance of your own wrongness might make your ego feel even less secure, making you feel even more ashamed, right? And especially if someone is going to use that information to try and like prove a point against you. Love is true. I've been shaming myself for a bad eating month because I was eating my emotions, dealing with Koji. I decided to forgive myself and start fresh. Proud of you, Joy Vive. I feel like that really is how it is, right? And you said it perfectly. Like I feel like we were just talking about that, and then you were like affirming that fractal again. That it is that forgiving yourself to be like, okay, I did this. I feel bad because of this. Now I want to change, right? Admitting, being vulnerable. Thank you, Joy, for being vulnerable with us as well. You know us. We'll keep encouraging you and celebrating you for every little bit of progress that you make. And realize, right? And I feel like that's of importance as well, that even though you might have had a bad month of eating, is Nancy leaving? Blessings to you, Nancy. Love to you. Even though you might have had a bad month of eating and maybe you gained a little bit of weight, the progress that you made is in being able to recognize that fractal opening up again and then being like, actually, I don't want to go down this path, right? That is progress. Even though you might have conceptually lost progress with your weight goals, you made progress consciously, right? And that is where most of our evolution ends up happening. We celebrate you, Joy Vive. Joy, you were in a constant state of trauma and you took care of yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course, you gave yourself comfort. There we go. Exactly. Right? Making progress, despite the fact that even to the outside world, it might not look that way. So I cleaned out my fridge, bought lots of healthy food, and I've been making nourishing meals for myself. Doesn't it feel good as well? Right? Like when you start doing that, it's almost like your body is like, yeah, starts rewarding you for it too. Blessings to you, Joy Vive. I hope that you continue feeling better going forward. Share some pics of your dishes, Joy. There we go. My dog wakes up every morning wagging her tail, and I love it. Me too, Nancy. Like, Pippi sleeps next to me. And when I wake up and she hears like the creaking of my bed when I, sit upright, I can see her little tail wagging underneath the blanket, and then I'll go and give her some scritches. And it really is this blessed experience being able to wake up and instantly experience love. Good for you, Joy. I will do the same today. Fresh start. I've fallen off the sugar wagon and now I'm erect with inflammation and joint pain. That's the worst part of it, right? Is it might be pleasurable, right, in the moment to experience that. But the amount of shame, the amount of discomfort, the amount of inflammation, as you mentioned, the joint pain that comes along with that, because at least in my experience, that's what ends up happening, right? Where I'll push myself. I would have gone long without eating sugar, and then suddenly I'll fall off the wagon, right? And I'll overdo it with the sugar, and then after completing this whole fractal of eating the sugar, and now the experience is over, I find myself ashamed that I just did that. And then the next morning, I wake up feeling like trash. And then I'm ashamed of myself for doing that and for feeling the way I am right now. And then going through the day, every single time I feel like I'm not performing at my peak performance, or I'm not as fast mentally as I want to be, or my limbs, aren't responding the way I would like them to, it's again an extra layer of shame. Right? And I feel like that's the worst thing about this sugar thing, because it ends up encouraging you from that place of shame to try and get rid of it by doing the whole thing over again, right? And then it becomes a perpetual loop of you spiraling into this feeling of being ashamed of yourself. And I wonder, I really do. I think about this a lot. I wonder why that happens to us. I wonder if that's again a family thing, if it's a hormonal thing, like the leptin your body is producing, telling you that you're satiated. If it's a manipulation thing, that's where my mind has been going a lot as of late, is like the food industry, the corporations are basically doing everything in their power to get you addicted to these sugary products, you know, and then shaming you, even shaming us, right, for our impact on the environment, pretending that it's our fault, keeping their eyes blind to industry and the amount of stuff that happens there, trying to make it each and every single one of us problems. Hey, Lisa, blessings to you, friend. It's nice seeing you. I'll get to your comment very soon. The sugar fractal is hard. I get it. It really is. I was trying to figure out the membership thing. I could never forget you, Sam. Of course not. Love is true. Thank you for echoing that. We pronounce height just like hate. Ah, I guess there's a reason they spelled it like that then. There's an obelisk at the Vatican, which seems kind of out of place, but what do I know? There's an obelisk in the 2001 A Space Odyssey. That's true. That's like the OG obelisk, That's what I want my obelisk to be as well. That when we eventually, put new humans on the earth or whatever, they're going, what is this thing? Joy, the worst part of the sugar detox couple of days. I always feel so ill. Maybe the worst part of it is just not being able to have any treats going forward. No more chocolate. I don't know if that has to be the approach. Louisiana, right? And I know that this is very much easier said than done, but by allowing ourselves moments, and I feel like the way that it works for me at least is to do it calorically, right? Where I'll be like, okay, I'm going to eat most of my calories, 90 to 95% of my calories as whole foods, right? Like things of substance, I get my amino acids essentially. And then and then I'll have some chocolate that still fits into my macros, And in doing that, I have found, at least in my personal experience, you can do both. You can still kind of like experience the taste of chocolate without it actually feeling bad because it's not making up that large of a percentage of your whole, system. The whole you are what you eat, right? If you eat 95%, 90%, 80%, 70%, 50% even good food, and you eat 50% bad food, at least you have 50% of a win, on your side of the fractal. Why is it that we love the most? Why is it what we love the most destroys us? Fat, sugar, salt, fast food. Fat isn't bad for you. Salt is also not bad for you, right? Fat doesn't kill you either. Salt also doesn't really. It's again a moderation thing, right? Like if you actually started eating fat and protein, for example, you would find yourself very quickly satiated. And I don't think that's why I only mentioned fat and salt. Sugar and fast food, however, doesn't allow me to feel satiated. Right? I remember living in China, I would order myself like 3 different meals from Burger King in one sitting. And then I would just devour all of it, to the point of discomfort. And then still, an hour later, I would be hungry again. And I'll order myself Papa John's pizza or whatever because they had that butter dip, butter garlic dip. I couldn't stop myself, and it was this perpetual cycle of doing this to myself, feeling bad, doing it again, gaining weight, feeling bad about myself, being ashamed of what I'm doing and how I'm looking, and then trying to mask these feelings of again doing it all. And it was rough, and I cry for how many people in the world is probably experiencing exactly that right now. I was saying bye to Loizana. Love is true. We'll see you again soon, Loizana. We're here with you. I also feel shame and defeat sometimes due to slow metabolism and PCOS. I don't know what that means. Hey, Google, define PCOS. PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome, a hormonal disorder causing enlarged ovaries with small cysts on the outer edges. The cause of PCOS isn't well understood, but may involve a combination of genetic and environmental factors. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm proud of you for showing up for love, regardless. Don't be ashamed of your own body. These past few weeks have been tough though, as I started walking and completing 5 to 10K steps, plus finding out about this community and doing yoga and avoiding fast food. We're so proud of you, JZL. Like, I feel it's one of those things where it takes time, right? And we'll go back to our old ways sometimes just to understand who we were. The thing that's been interesting to me is how we end up reapproaching, reintroducing the same problems we've had before as a means to feel like we are secure, right? For instance, if you have a problem with sugar, and you feel you don't want to be eating sugar, and every single time you do, it makes you feel a certain way, and you don't like that feeling, but it's familiar because you've been doing it for the last 2 decades. You'll go back to that when other difficulties arise in your life as well. Maybe you have a fight with a loved one, and then because of this fight with a loved one, instead of dealing with that, right, instead of facing this new problem that is being expressed in your environment, you will go back to an old problem because you're already familiar with how that problem feels and how you're supposed to solve that problem, right? The shame that comes along with that, and then the pulling away from it. It's like masking or bypassing, giving yourself more problems to not face the problems that you have. And it happens with us when we're like expected to do some busy work, like thinking about the fractal of if you have to study for a test. Now suddenly you have this motivation to wash the dishes and cook yourself a meal, for tonight, and do this thing that you've been putting off instead of doing this thing that you're supposed to be doing, realizing that we have this problem, and then introducing all of these other problems because in our conception, they are easier to solve than the actual problem we're being faced with. So, all of that being said, Jaziel, we're proud of you for showing up for your problems, for showing up for your health, for showing up for yourself, and for showing up in this community. You are so loved, dear friend. Namaste to you too. Love it, Lisa. I'm so happy to hear the last few weeks have been great. Jaziel, proud of you for not giving up and taking care of you. This is the way. Jaziel, I believe you're starting from a place of beauty. Even though you're seeking to change your body, you are already beautiful and you deserve kindness from yourself on your path. Agreed. Jaziel actually shared her fractal herself with us during yoga today as well. And you are beautiful, dear friend. It is so nice to have you here with us. Must go. Love you all. Be good. No, let's be bad just because Sam told us. Love you, Sam. We'll see you again soon. Just realized my wife, corporate company picnic is today. Haven't been to corporate function in 4 years since I left. Masking level 1000 coming up. Don't mask, oh. Be proud. Celebrate yourself. Tell people about what it is you want to do. Be hopeful. Oh, like seriously, be authentic and be hopeful. That is what we need right now. We don't need more people masking. Everybody's masking right now, pretending to be something that they're expected to be. Show people that there is other options available, man. You deserve that, and so do the people that you're going to talk to. Just get nice and high before you go, duck. I mean, that usually doesn't work for me, unfortunately. If I get high and I have to talk to people that aren't high, that usually just feels like insanity to me, where I'm like, oh, they know I'm blazed as all hell right now. They're judging me. Oh, I'm so ashamed. Kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all done chewing bubble gum. Different than any today. I had PCOS, and they popped the ovaries through my belly button. Technology, right? I'm guessing you're talking about that procedure where they make like a small little hole inside your body and then they put those apparatuses and they go. What a world we live in, that we don't have to literally cut people open, and expose their insides. I'm just going to play with all the kids. Good, dude. Celebrate the youth. Make sure they are safe as well. Also, Jazil, that's why I take estradiol every day because of the edema. Now I'm always on fleek. Love is true. Sounds painful. Was it? The PCOS is painful. The surgery was, but the result was relief. I'm happy to hear that. I'm hoping, and that's what I'm looking forward to as well, that these procedures are going to become more and more widespread, right? Because technically, we're already doing it where we have robotics that are being used by people. Like a robot is actually the thing doing surgery on your body with a person behind that robot. And every single one of those inputs is being recorded. And then that is going to be used to train an AI system to be able to operate on us, autonomously, right? And just imagine that you realize you have a cancer growth on your liver. You go into essentially, we can put them in shipping containers, right? And ship them all over the world. You go into a shipping container, it has air conditioning, you lie on a table, you go to sleep, you go out not having a cancer cyst on your liver anymore, because there's a robot that can help you with that. Hey, Brother Dan, joining us too. Dan, there is a membership up top for you to claim. I think nobody has today. At least I haven't seen anybody claim it. But Jovan blessed us with even more memberships today. So if you want to become a member of the channel, you can. Get that cool pillar, obelisk of light next to your name as well. Weirdly enough, that obelisk, the blue on the sides of the centerpiece, is this scarf. So I feel like it's even more synchronous. I just used the leaf blower on full power to blow my shaving trimmings out my beard. Like you shaved your beard and then you blew it out, or were you like cutting flowers or something? Shaving trimmings. I'm guessing it's probably the beard. Good for you, dude. I feel like getting leaf blower in the face. Might be a good vibe even. I'm on the train back to New York City after a weekend visiting a friend in Philly. Sounds like a blessed time, Dan. I hope you had fun, man. I've been in Philly for 1.5 hours. Nice town. It's longer than I have been there. So you have one up on me. Did you have a good time, Duck? That's where I grew up. Oh, in Philly? Was it like a high school friend? Close to where your mom lives? I'm not sure. Whew. What a stream. Melting away shame. That's what we were talking about today, dude. Yeah, Joy, thanks for asking. We went to the Ren Fair and then saw caskets and blessed the fall afterwards. Bands? Are those bands? Middle school friend Melty, even better. Having been connected for a long time, getting to share those connections once again. Oopsie. Do you like Jill Short's music? She's from Philly as well. Because it's one of those things again where I don't know who Jill Scott is, unfortunately. Okay, let's pull a card, shall we? Let's see what Sacred Geometry has to say. Hey, Paula, I don't know if you're still here, friend. Sending you blessings. That's cool, Doc. I hope it was kind to you. Dano, where I lived in Hollidaysburg, PA for 1 year. That's where I got Buster. There we go. More connections, even. Get this nice and close. You went casket shopping. Like, that's what I'm tripping out about as well, Troy Vive. Like, I'm imagining, like, Casket is like a band name. But if they actually just went and looked at caskets, that's like an interesting fractal. It's like, oh, yes, mortality. Uh-huh. Yeah, interesting. Oh! I'm so sorry. I dropped my light for a second. I am sorry, little light. I didn't mean to drop you, friend. Thank you for still doing your gerbs, despite my clumsiness. Yeah, it was loud and heavy, Shan. I'm guessing it's bands. Bless the fold, Dan. I hope it was a fantastic show. So much love. Haven't heard of her. Did you have cheesesteak? Must have, right? Classics. I bet it was a riot. So much fun, dude. There. No casket. Nah, Casket is a British post-core band, Melty. Good. Okay. That makes sense. Because you wrote it in lowercase, both of them, they didn't feel like names, but I get it. It makes more sense. Then I was remembering yesterday how at the Renaissance Fair they used to have ice cream scooped in the middle of a halved cantaloupe. So yummy. I've never had ice cream and cantaloupe together. I am a cantaloupe fan though. Like my mind goes to I would rather have like a sorbet or like a type of crushed ice or something in cantaloupe as well. We have Shelby joining us. Yeah, Shelby, Shelby. Yeah, meower. Yeah, meowerky. Peppy laying behind us as well. Shelby, Shelby. Peppy is like so behind me. She's hidden. She's minding her own business. Yeah, cutter, cutter. Yeah, Shelby, Shelby. Her with a little tail, staring into the sunset as well. Love me some post-hardcore bands. Just live music in general has like a whole energy to it. Celebratory, right? Celebrating the people, realizing that there are people literally, celebrating their own work as well. The level of not being ashamed, that you get to see when people make music. I didn't get a cheesesteak shell, but I do make them quite a bit at home. That works. I think you even mentioned it last time. I haven't been to Ren Fair since I was a kid. Hope you had a blast. Love is true. Oopsie. I posted my favorite Jill Scott song in Discord. There we go. Now you get to connect directly to the fractal. I'm a dubstep kid, duck dad, so most anything loud and aggressive scratches the itch for me. I also have a thing with aggressive music. right? Like there's a certain type of energy you get from it. That's why I like Three Doors Down. I don't know if that's an appropriate, fractal to bring up, but they have power in their music. Let's see. We'll pull a card to see some sacred geometry. Like that's how Pippi lays down on her belly. Like she doesn't just put her legs underneath herself. She does this little angled thing. Like you can't imagine that's the most appropriate or most comfortable way to sit, but she doesn't do it any other way. I don't know if there's one near us, Shell. There might not be, but there might be other places to go to, right? Celebrate local artists as well. One of my favorite was Let Live, Jason. The singer is now Fever 333. Interesting names they choose for themselves. Let Live, Jason sounds pretty sick as well. Okay, peeps, going to take the doggo for a walk. Have a wonderful day / evening. Love to you, Nancy. We'll see you again soon. Rain Sauce Fair. I feel like I'm missing a lot. I had a weird experience too. It revealed something to me about myself. Shame? Any shame? You want to let us know, Dan? We were talking about shame today, and how shame is almost the denial of that which you are, right? The true version of you. That if you're ashamed of that version of self, that's the best way to ruin your own life, right? Ruin other people's lives as well. So the fact that you got to learn something about yourself might be the opposite of that. Peace, Nancy. Oh, what a weird experience, Dan. I've seen Fever. They opened for the U's. They were good. Nice. Yeah, definitely a little bit of shame, Melty. So you weren't here for the conversation, I don't think at least. But I was mentioning a little bit earlier how one of the things I know about myself is that because I've been shamed for so long into being something I'm not, it made me angry, right? And that anger is still very much a part of me. And then when I see myself reacting to the world from that place of anger, even though it does reveal something about me, it also at the same time gives me perspective to know who I want to be, right? That who you are right now is perfect. That doesn't mean you cannot grow, right? It's like a tree, if it's a baby tree or if it's a beautiful, massive tree, both of those states are perfect, right? But if the tree that is still a baby considered itself unchangeable or perfect to the perspective of not wanting to grow further, it would die eventually, in its small state. Yo, Fever is okay, but Let Live was a different band. I'll send you a link, please do. Love is true. Let's see what card this is. We haven't pulled this one in a while. I feel it does resonate with today's stream topic. I recently reconnected with a girl from freshman year of college. She's moving back to New York City, but still lives in Philly at the moment. She told me recently that she'd like to get together when she moves here. Let's wait for the rest of that comment. Oh, can you hear the birds? Let's see if I introduce a little bit more gain to the stream. Why do you think it's weird? I'm thinking there's going to be more context coming soon. I think there's a little bit more gain for you to hear the birds, but I'm not sure. Just yet, at least. There we go. When she moves. So, the friend I was visiting this weekend happened to live in her apartment complex, so I reached out letting her know I was nearby. I invited her to the show, and she had dinner plans. Yes, I can hear the verbs. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Roxy and Kitty, or Shelby and Pippi having some fun as well. I love how the animals are just chilling behind you, Melty. Me too, Joy. It makes me happy. Right? No shame between the little ones. Then my ex was one of the groundbreakers of drum and bass in Hong Kong, and it's very dubby. He's a bassist. He is one of the makers of the software Ableton. That's a big one. That's pretty crazy. Had dinner plans, but she said to reach out after the concert, so I did. She hasn't replied since. What it revealed to me is that I impulsively assume that I'm being lied to when I'm interacting romantically with people. Yeah, that's a hard one. That is a hard one, Dan. Again, it's a vulnerability thing, right? And it's a sense of self protection. Because for me, especially, and that's why I can really resonate with what you're saying. Being lied to is like the best way to lose me, right? Because I can deal with you telling me straight up, hey, oh, this is how it is. I'd be like, oh, nice. Now I have some clarity. Now I understand what's going on. But if you lie to me, it usually goes, and I don't know if it's anger. It develops into anger, but it usually goes to this perspective of insulting my intelligence, right? Like don't insult my intelligence, right? Like that's like the one way to get me all riled up when interacting romantically with people. I have this immediate assumption that I'm being lied to in a romantic situation. Definitely a defense mechanism from past experiences. It was weird, not because of her, but because of what it revealed about me. Yeah, I get it, dude. I really do. Part of me wants to give you advice, but I don't think I know what is to be done about that either. Again, the closest to an answer I can come is just consciously evolving, right? Paying attention. And I'm proud of you for that, right? For your attention to your own experience and your willingness to learn how to get past it. Guess it's a stakes thing, right? Like being romantically involved with someone is a pretty high stakes situation. And being lied to in a situation like that makes you feel like you would rather just not. And then again, expectations. What is it you expect? Because unfortunately, and this is a part of what makes us so powerful as human beings, we are very creative and imaginative when it comes to everything, right? And especially so when it comes to romantic situations, where as soon as we find ourselves romantically interested in a person, we take it to the extreme, right? We start imagining, hey, love you, Joshmo. So nice having you. We start taking it to an extreme where we imagine our lives with this person, right? We imagine having kids with them. We imagine introducing them to our parents. We imagine living with them and building a life with them, right? When that might not be what they want, right? And you, even if that is what they want, you communicating it in that way changes the whole dynamic of the experience as well. Allow yourself to be creative, Brother Bear, but realize that it is a skill, right? See it like, oh, I'm so good at tripping myself out. Look at me getting better at it even. I'm sorry to hear that, Dan, but it says more about them than you. I also tend to disbelieve strangers, romantic or not. Words are wind, and only actions count. Yeah, Joy, I'm getting better. I'm just letting that one go and move on to the next. It was more disturbing to me to see what I'm carrying into each situation. There we go. Hey, now that's conscious evolution right there, right? It's an awareness because that is what we are at the end of the day. All of these experiences that arise within us, and that's where I'm like a little bit stuck right now, Dan. Is because I don't actually believe that is us, right? That sure you might have learned something about the small self, but the larger self is the one that's aware of this whole experience. And you being aware of that is already a step in the right direction. That's okay, Dan. After more practice, you'll develop discernment. You can develop that. Meanwhile, you are safe if you assume the worst. That is how it is sometimes. I see Gabby Goo. Hey to you, Gabby Goop checking in, bro. I've been missing you, dude. It's nice having you in this moment with us, because this moment is all there is. And even if you're not here, you're still in this moment with us. But now we can go, love is to you, Gabby Goop. We love you. Shantam, love is true. Thank you for the 1111s. I love you too, Brother Bear. Can the turtles eat all the fruit, Joe? Funny. They like mango. I mean, who doesn't like mango? My sister is allergic to mango. My sister doesn't like mango. Oh, Shell, I'm starting to have a greater sense of confidence in my own judgment of a given situation. This is definitely the path forward. One step. One step follows the next. Where's my new buddies? Joy, they're my new buddies. They eat all the shiny fruit and they're silly. So much love. Also, it's hard because I think it's very cultural here to say, hey, hit me up later and let's get together when I'm in town. But we don't mean it, and it's so confusing. Yeah, I noticed the same thing with me recently, right? Where I've been talking to this friend. He's a friend that I had in high school. And he came here once, but he hasn't been here since. And like there is this feeling of me wanting to tell him, why don't you come over? Right? Like, come over. I would like to have you here. And then at the same time feeling like, don't. Right? Like that's not what's going to happen. Yeah. Tripping out. I practice discernment all the time with people all the time, Dan. By asking for clarification where I can. I do that too. If I was right, then I'm affirmed. If I was wrong, then of course corrected. Exactly. I've missed y'all. We've missed you too with the bear. Gobbity goo. I was literally thinking of you a minute ago because my battery's at 27%. And the number reminds me of you. I have been so busy slaying. I have lost 50 pounds since 2021. I'm working out 6 days a week. College starts tomorrow. Dogs are happy. I've had half a dozen love affairs this year, etc. Anyway, I'm off to the gym. Y'all be good for yourselves. Love to you, Gobbity goo. Be good to you too, man. It's so nice to hear you're doing so well. Bless. Let's reveal the card, shall we? Anticipation is built. Boom. Right? Talking about love affairs as well. The heart Taurus. Letting your heart be open to receiving love. Letting your heart be open to be willing to release it as well. Right? That none of us can ever hope to give ourselves completely to a person, right? Because there's other places that will be needed. But if you are willing to give yourself to a person in this moment, and both of you are consenting to that moment, love is true. The heart Taurus. We did pull it upside down technically. Gabber, feeling the love. I feel better when I feel better. Yeah, right, Joe? That's the way it is. It's a collective thing. You're a powerhouse. Isn't that the truth? There we go. Upside down, right side up, almost like the same. There's a little heart in that Taurus. So I don't know if it's clear, but this is a three-dimensional shape, right? If it was like this, it would look like a donut. Has like things flowing into it and things that are out of it. And there's a heart in the center of it. And I do believe we have this Taurus kind of going around us as well. So with all that in mind, talking about not being ashamed of ourselves, talking about letting ourselves feel love, reminding ourselves to listen to the intelligence of our heart. We'll read the reverse meaning first, and it goes, you might have been too much in your head as of late. Enter the heart Taurus and consciously reconnect with your heart. For the Taurus, is a piece of sacred geometry that, when viewed as three dimensions, looks rather like a donut. The human heart has 7 muscles that form a torus and is the shape of the Earth's magnetic field. So yeah, a magnet also forms a torus, right? Like it's a fundamental force of nature. The toroidal energy, this toroidal energy connects you with the intelligence of your heart and asks you to become conscious of the effect emotions have on your ability to experience life wholly. You see, especially since Dan decided to be vulnerable with us and share what he's been going through, I feel this card is like kicking ass right now. I want to read that one again. This toroidal energy connects you with the intelligence of your heart and asks you to become conscious of the effects emotions have on your ability to experience life wholly. Emotions open your heart and can lead to a deeper connection with self and others, allowing you to feel more connected and at peace in your balance. Emotions can also baffle your intellect and stir up confusion. Integrating head and heart, mind and emotions is the expression and function of the intelligence of your heart. Meditate with this heart torus. Sit within its dynamic movement and really feel its vitality as you knowingly connect with your heart. Consciously experience the emotions that arise, bless what you are feeling, and ask how this may inform what is occurring in your life today. Allow yourself to feel gratitude for the very human ability to experience emotions at all. Honor the intelligence of your heart. I liked how we pulled the card when Dan was joining, and then I like put it down to like read what Dan was going to say and share with us. And then this card is just like a deep affirmation to what we're going through in that conversation as well. What a trip. Whew. That's incredible, Gab. Love is true. I love the donut. It's a fundamental force of nature. Yes. Yes. There's Tauruses everywhere. Can't you see them? Can't you see the Tauruses? Silver Storers. Poopy is the cutest username. Poopy 808 is true because of Roland 808. I don't know that one. Nah, it's on my queue though. Should I move it to the top of my watch list? Everything, everywhere, all at once. I have seen that one. It is good. It is good, right? Again, it's like another introduction or a sharing with the human psyche. This understanding that there is a lot more than we give ourselves credit for, on the level of self and on the level of the universe. I was just told to watch that movie by my uncle Dan. I think you'd love it too, Shan. It really is an interesting one. Well, the donut thing you said is super synchronous with that movie. The everything bagel, right? When you get around it, remember that you said about the donut. Again, dude, I'm right there with you. It's the way it is, right? Because the Taurus and the way that I've thought about it, the way that I kind of identify with the Taurus myself, is that you are this pillar, right? So a Taurus can imagine like a circle, right? And if that circle was like extruded right around, that circle bleeds into itself, right? Creating a pillar there. And then there's energy flowing in from your world into that center point. And then that center point becomes the concentration that is you in this very moment. And then you get to contribute into this world. And then that world becomes your reality. And then that reality that you've created feeds back into you. And then you feed back out into it, right? I had this during a hemisync meditation when I got into like the deep state of hemisync and I think focus 12. I got to see this vision, right, of me sitting in the middle of this Taurus field and reality literally melting around me ceaselessly in this churn, right? And then there was this example where I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it was like, oh yeah, you think that's interesting? How about imagine yourself being in a social situation, and then as you're sitting attentively, meditatively, calmly in that space, someone is angry with you and comes and goes, in this Taurus experience, right? The outer experience. And all I had to do in that fractal is just be, to just be there, to breathe. And eventually, as I receive that energy and as I output calm energy, within this Taurus fractal that I'm experiencing, this irritant potentially melts back into the rest of the experience, right? And then there's other experiences to be had. And I feel like there's something in there about shame, about realizing that if you're outputting this experience of the world is looking at me because I have something to be ashamed of, that is what ends up feeding back into you, and you can make that your reality. And it's the same thing for a state of calm, a state of silence, being quiet, as the world tumultuizes around you as well. Mm. Shan shut the front door. Love is true. I don't want to give the impressions that I'm great at discernment. Rather, how I manage with these new tires. It is a process. We're getting better, right? And that is the conscious evolution that we're doing. Because I decide to make friends in real life, similar to deciding to date, I think. I'm putting myself out there, this time with no shame, but still on training wheels for reading people. Love is true. Lane joining us too. Hey Lane, sending you lovin's, dude. It's nice having you here, dude. We have Brother Dan joining us too. I don't know why, but you two friends feel like you're living in the same place in my brain. It's nice having you here today, man. How are you doing, Lane? How's life been treating you? So it turns out Duckling was masking, feeling better because she's sick of being sick. Giant emotional outburst, and was finally able to figure it out by talking. Looks like another cuddle day. She's growing too, also consciously evolving, right? I'm feeling for a little heart, trying to manifest, essentially, herself feeling better. I feel that, Shell. I've been doing the same, reconnecting with old friends and trying to be open to all the connections that come from that. That's the way. I totally remember feeling like her. When you get so antsy, you try to power through it, and the convalescence, convalescence is torture. Hey Google, define convalescence. Convalescence, time spent recovering from an illness or medical treatment. New fractal in my brain. Thank you, Duck Dad, for teaching me new words, dude. I hope she feels better, bro. Like, maybe we can all do that, right? We can all imagine Milani, beloved Duck Dad's little daughter, just breathing clear. Not having a stomach bug, being her happy little self, being able to be happy with the world. See a smile on her face, see her hopeful, see her free from this discomfort. That's already a step in the right direction. Manifest. The last couple of months have been rough, but this week has been really good. For me too, interestingly enough. I've been feeling more okay again. Things are looking up and it feels great. It's interesting, dude. I went through the exact same experience where I was like having a rough couple of months. And it's almost like that roughness has like eased up a little bit. And I'm getting to see above the waves instead of getting just washed ceaselessly. I'm watching baby burps try to convince their parents to keep feeding them, but the parents are like, nah, bruh, you're old enough. You need to go and find your own food now. It's like, oh, I'll give you that. Give me. It's like, no, blood, please. Oh, please, you're as big as me. You have wings and stuff. Oh, go out there. Go out there and go and get. I mean, maybe that's like a tactic, right? Get them hungry. Be like, oh yeah, you're hungry? How about you try and catch yourself some food? I'm glad things are on the up and up for you too, Lane. Yeah, same. I'm happy that you're also feeling that. It is about time for us to start kalimbaying because we have like 15 minutes or so left before we're gonna do the sangha. So we'll do that. Look at that. The sun is just about setting as well. The jackals are singing their songs. I've been wanting to say, Doug, I wish I had parents like you when I was little. In a weird way, a version of you now does. Shell. Not melt, making baby burps, feeding my face. I want eat. Give me eat. I was just gonna ask if we were Shanghai today. We for sure we are sending you loving so often, Lane. Been seeing your stories and loving your musical escapades. So much lovins. Every single time I see the number 69, I send love to Lane as well. Are we ready for some kalimbaying? Let's go. Whew, ending at 33 minutes past. We played the kalimba for 3 minutes and 33 seconds. We have 9 friends here right now, making even more synchrony. Nice. Love is true. What a blessing being able to spend these moments with you. as the sun sets behind us. A new day starts for you as mine ends. Not going to be in Sangha, but hugs and squishes. Love to you, Joy. Shell, something that I'm feeling so much gratitude for is while I work through the abuse from my dad, is how awesome my mom is. At least I had one parent that was like Duck Dad. Love is true. Right? Paying attention to the stuff that we do have instead of ruminating on the stuff we don't. This is the way. That'll be more musical escapades a day. I'm just about to get going. Down to Detroit for a gig. Love to you, Lane. I'm proud of you, bro, for following your dreams, man, for showing up. You're an inspiration, man. That's sick, Lane. If you ever get booked here in New York City and need a place to crash, I have a spare room. Love is true. Detroit is my favorite town. Detroit, Become Human is my connection to Detroit, the closest one I have at least. Detroit is my favorite town. Love is true. Good to know, Dan. I'm trying to venture out to Michigan, and New York isn't too far away from us in that aspect. There we go. Sofa surfing lifestyle. That's the way. Have. Let me take this one. Have the most beautifulest day, everyone. I wholeheartedly love you all so very supersized, superest duperest, enormously, considerably, colossally, vastly, tremendously, whoppingly, dearly. Melt in all of you oh so very amazingly, incredibly, fascinatingly, outstandingly, impressively, inconceivably gorgeous, radiant, and magical divine friends. As we love you, dear Shan. As we love all of you. Love you guys. It's always great to spend some time with you. Thank you, Brother Lane, for finding yourself here for even a moment. Love is true. Love is true. If you know anything about this world, know that love is true. And if you don't believe that, then be the love which you're looking for. Right? That is every single one of our responsibilities. To make sure there's more. Melt more. Melt more. Melt more. Melt more. Lane, what are you doing to me, bro? Stop sending me all of the metal. Okay. Love you, friends. See you tomorrow. Melton friends, see you tomorrow. Jizyel. Blessings to all of you. I'll be missing you today for Sangha. Are you gonna be there? I was thinking that you probably miss us as well, you know, if your friend being over. I'm glad things are on the up and up. Okay. That's the last wish I could see there. Next week for sure. We'll see you then. Until then, love you, friend. I'll see you again tomorrow. Blessings to you. Until then, love you. Cheers.